Hey Sergio, so I'd like to give you a high-level presentation on what I've achieved here using the 4 technologies we discussed in the past. Actually, it's the 3, MongoDB, Angular, and Node. I actually had difficulty installing the MongoDB on my local machine. My hard drive was full. So I outsourced to a DAAS, Database as a Service, cloud provider, which is MLab. They allow me to create a sandbox and input objects of information so that I can access this from my API and then display it neatly here onto the UI through Angular. So I used Angular with a for loop and some column classes to display everything neatly. I have each here a tuple that is displayed using the for loop, and if you can see here, it says traveling to New York, LPE num1, staying up all night, LPE num2, and so forth. It is displayed in order in immediate sequence. So this is the basic idea of what is going on here. To relate it to the technologies that we discussed, Angular is what is displaying everything in the front end. Express is the extra framework that I decided to use, which allowed me to pull this information from this MongoDB provided by MLab. This provides the framework for handling HTTP requests and allows me to display this on the front end. And in NodeJS, I have the Node Package Manager. I installed NodeMon, which is a package that allows me to run my server autonomously. So this will basically listen to any type of changes or anything that's happening from my end, and then we'll recompile and then restart the server so that I don't have to do that manually. So as of now, my server should be running, so when I refresh, everything should populate just fine. Yep, okay, perfect. I'll give you an example of how the information interacts with the UI. So I'm going to add an object here. Add document. MLab offers the functionality where it creates its own dynamic ID for each object. So I'm going to title this something different. Presenting LP grid, whatever. And this will be 5. Save and go back. Okay, so now I have a total of 5 objects. So if I go back here to my very simple UI, as it's here in the title, when I refresh, everything should display. Perfect. Alright, so I think that covers the high-level perspective on this. So to dive a little bit deeper, I'll go into the specifics as to what's going on code-wise. So starting off here with server.js. This is kind of like the meeting place where Express handles the information from the HTTP request or MongoDB and then routes it correctly to the HTML file or wherever that it's going to be displayed here in the UI. So I have some things set up here so that I can access the data raw if I would like to. I'll show you that example over here. I can enter API/task and then input an individual LPE num. Sorry, not LPE num, but the ID. So just an example, traveling to New York. Never mind, that one's already there. Staying up all night testing PayPal. I'll copy that ID and I'll paste that up here. And then, so right now it says traveling to New York. When I refresh, that's embarrassing. Staying up all night. There you go. So I can also, by refreshing with just API/task, display all of the information raw in a JSON output. So this is basically exactly how everything is presented as an object from MongoDB or MLab, however you'd like to call it. So I'm going to go back to my code here and show you what I have. So this information, when it comes from MongoDB, it's inputted into a series of files, and they all kind of network together to present to display the output, the data. So index.html is where this information goes. And so I have a couple of scripts and some other information here to help sculpt the data and present it. I have the tag here, my app, which contains loading 1, 2, 3. This will appear so long as the app is still loading. If you get close to right here, I'll show you. So did you see that? So it shows loading 1, 2, 3. That's just like a placeholder there that serves until the rest of the app has loaded, and then it will appear on top of it. So this my app tag is defined over here in the app.component.ts, I believe. Yeah, here we go. So there's my app. And so app.component.html is what is fed into that my app tag. So if I go back here to index.html, my app right here is going to receive the app.component.html, which is here. This contains some basic like CSS styling stuff, so I can get the black background and structure everything side by side, and then lay out everything in a grid fashion as you requested. So right here is present a grid with your last 3 professional experiences, just as we have here. If you'd like a live demonstration, I'll just put some jargon there, save that, and my server here should have picked up on that change. And then when I refresh, there it is, you can see it. So once again, I have a tag that I defined here, tasks. This tasks tag is defined in the tasks.component.ts. This is over here. And the information from task.component.html is now fed into the app.component.html that I just showed you. So I think I forgot to mention, this is all TypeScript. I'm not too familiar with TypeScript. I don't really understand the syntax, but a lot of this was kind of like copy-paste stuff from the Angular website. There's a tutorial there. And one of the conveniences of NodeMon is that it will compile the TypeScript and then convert into JavaScript. So all of these files here that you see, TS, these are all compiled into JavaScript. So this is actually this. And so, as I was saying, this is what is fed into the app.component.html, and here is where the Angular comes into play. So once again, I used very basic functionalities of Angular, and I really didn't use it to its full potential. I used some basic column classes here to style the user interface and to present the data. And I have ng4 here, which cycles through each tuple or object, which is defined here. So I have my LPE num, and I'll go back here to the MongoDB to show you. So I have my LPE num, and then the title. So it will display LPE num first, and then title. LPE num first, and then title. So these are all in their individual columns, but they appear on the same row. So this for loop will loop around, output this, come back, output this, and it'll continue this so long as that there's more data available. So it'll just go through each one of these. And then that's how I achieve this output. So that's pretty much the low-level perspective on what I've achieved here. It's very basic. It's really not, this entire app was not built solely for the purpose of presenting this grid. I sourced a couple files from different tutorials I found online and then plugged everything together where it made sense, and then was able to generate a RESTful API to pull the information. And I believe I forgot to mention something very important when I was over here in the server.js file. Sorry, it was the task.js. Yeah, this is it. So this is the URI from MongoDB provided by MLab. If I go back here, there it is, the URI. This is what provides me access to their MongoDB server and then pulls that information into my app. And then these are the functions here that allow me to pull the raw data. There's some extra stuff here like save task and delete task, update task, etc. These are all extra things that were provided by a tutorial I was looking at. These don't really serve any purpose here in what I've implemented, but for the sake of demonstrating my understanding of how these technologies work together, I think this is it. And yep, that concludes my presentation. Thank you.